Ron,
Here.
Ellen,
Here.
Riley,
Here.
Jerry,
Here.
and Scott.
Here. Meetings Act posters there on the wall. Okay, looks like Riley is going to resign from Atkinson City Council. Your turn, yep.
After a great deal of thought and several circumstances, I decided to step down from the Atkinson City Council tonight. I want to say this town has been a tremendous town to work for. I really have enjoyed the last 3 years. I want to thank the great citizens of this town for their support. This has meant a great deal to me and my family. I would also like to thank all of the city employees for their support and hard work as well. I would encourage everyone to continue to try and heal the division of this town. There's a lot of hard-working people around here, and this town is very close to still being a great town to live in. Thank you very much. I'm not going to answer any questions.
Thank you, Riley. Thank you.
As a citizen, I would like to thank you for your service.
Thank you.
You've done a good job.
Okay, we're done.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Number 4, approve the October 2nd meeting minutes. You guys all read those? Okay, roll call.
Chuck,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Riley, Jerry,
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes. Okay,
Michael, do I still have to call Remy's name, or can I X that out?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 5, treasurer's report will be presented and filed for audit. Okay, number 6, knowledge receipt of library, Elkhorn Meadows, RC&D meeting minutes, and the duplex financial report. That all look good? Okay. Number 7, looks like, approve hiring Shy Young as economic director with the city of Atkinson.
She's young, she's ambitious, she's got a lot of accounting background, which I think will help. She'll be able to help me out. She wants to see Atkinson grow, she's a hometown girl.
Can we back up a second? I'm sorry. I think we do need, Ron, a motion to accept Riley's resignation.
Do
before
we?
we-
I
Yeah.
didn't think, I read it in the thing and I couldn't get a good,
Right. I think you do. So,
I'll make the motion, we accept Riley's resignation. Second that.
Okay, now roll call.
Ron,
Yes.
Ellen,
Yes.
Riley, Jerry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
and Chuck.
Yep.
Might take me a couple times to.
Okay, ready? Okay, we'll go back to number 7, approve hiring Shy Young as a economic director of the city of Atkinson.
I make a motion to approve the firing of Shy Young.
I'll second. Okay, roll call.
Ellen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
and Ron.
Yes.
Okay, number 8, approve resolution 23-10 to place a stop sign at the intersection of 3rd and Sherrill Streets, specifically on 3rd Street.
I talked to Harold.
It'll be on the east-west streets.
Make that motion.
Okay. Second. Ellen,
Roll call.
Jerry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Chuck, Ron,
Yes.
and Helen.
Yes.
Okay, 9, approve resolution 2311, the municipal annual certification of program compliance 20 23.
I should have had this at the last meeting when they did the 1 and 6 year, street program, and that's basically what this resolution does, is just certifies that, yep, we have a 1 and 6 year street program, it's with Miller and Associates, Reed Miller is our street superintendent.
I make a motion to approve that.
Roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Helen. Yes.
10, approve building permit for R. Scott and Lisa Fix at 113 South Bell Street to add on awning to existing building. He had a little sketch. Did you guys see that? Is that all it
That's
is?
on the south side, obviously.
It's on the east side of this.
Oh, the east side.
Yeah, on the back side.
Oh, okay.
The south side has it on.
Yeah, it's already there.
It's going backwards.
It meets all the setbacks and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So I make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Who did the second?
I did.
Scott? Okay.
Roll call.
Chuck,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Helen. Yes. Jerry
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes.
11, discuss, approve Polk County economic development fees for 23-24.
We've talked about this before, I don't know, I think you guys have the invoice over there for the total amount.
I don't know, I've said for years, I didn't think we need to belong to it where we're gonna have our own, we've had our own ED and we'll be having her come on board. So I just don't think the budget is tight. I don't think we take any, I had to step back at least a year and see if we miss it or not.
I guess my thoughts on it were, Ron, that do we keep this one more year to train our new employee?
We have to stay with them for half a year.
6
anyway.
months.
So by then, she should be up and running and so. In my opinion, anyway.
Hmm? If we put in our, we have to put in our written letter to terminate our membership with HCED, but it has to be 6 months, so it's a 6-month, notification for it.
And that's just my opinion. Feel free to.
You think she'll have enough training in 6 months? I think that there's a lot of resources out there. I mean, I'm not saying that Polk County Economic Development, but you have other economic development people, that she can contact, just like I contact other city clerks or the league, or, you can try it for the year, like you said, and then, if you decide that it's something that we need, then go back to it, or you can stay with it for a year, I guess. I mean, we have the listserv out there, we have different things out there. There's always lots of, that's what I'm finding out, there's lots of avenues to find information out from the state. The main thing is to get down some of the new legislation and stuff that's come through. And that's just basically sitting down with the state statutes.
So, what, stick with it for 6 months, or?
Well, if we vote not to, not to do it, we're with them for 6 months.
Oh,
It's-
either way, we're with them for 6 months.
Okay.
Is the invoice that's before us now for the entire year?
Mhm.
It's like $8,200.
8242.
So I take it.
I think I might have split it into 3 payments, just because it's that time of year for us.
That's just my opinion, guys and lady. It's any guys, Scotty, speak up. You guys
Yeah,
have to listen to me.
I suppose if we need to develop stuff in this town, we probably have to have it.
So you all wanna keep it or not?
Do we have to make that decision tonight? Or,
It says discuss or approve.
So we gotta decide in 6 months, or now?
Well, no, you
Well,
have to
fine.
give a written, you have to, if you're gonna terminate with Holt County Economic Development, you have to give a written notice. And then you have to stay with them for 6 months. And then at the end of that 6 months, then you're terminated for the second half of the year. You know, if you would decide after that 6 months you don't like it without them, you could go back to them the next year if you wanted. I mean, I think you as a council has that choice, but
what's your thoughts on this?
I'd be ashamed to see you guys leave. You step
Well,
backwards.
it's one of the downfalls of leaving right now.
Well, you guys are cutting down to a part-time economic development director, correct? It's not gonna be full-time ED, part-time
she's
clerk?
full-time.
I thought that it was listed as part-time clerk, part-time economic development.
It's just a split, there's split duties in there.
Sure, so you're losing hours then that'll be spent on economic development purposes in the community.
But
What in the last 6 months has Whole County done for Atkinson?
Yeah. So just kind of a list of things that I prepared ahead of time. Our jobs board is one of the big things we see on our website. We see 10, 15,000 views per month.
Which.
So you miss out on that, you know.
On our Atkinson's website.
Sure,
Correct.
I doubt you have that many views per month though, or there are that many people looking at it. Business listings, for those that don't have business, websites online and stuff, we see a lot of businesses that are called through that way. Community calendar, real estate listings, we provide business assistance to startups. I will admit 6 months is not a lot of time to get onboarded. I'm going on 2.5 years and there's still things you learn every day on the job, so. Business trainings and lunch and learns, transition discussions with different businesses in the community. We're working with Northeast Community College to work on a partnership there, trying to help transition businesses. And in Atkinson, we identified a handful there that are wanting to look at retiring and
That's still a
selling.
work in progress.
Yes, yeah, it's-
Because it's
that's
been-
still in the beginning
it's been
stages, that's
talked
what I
about for
understood.
years.
I guess a survey went out to about 10,000 Northeast graduates as seeing if they were interested in Holt County. So we've got 5 or 6 that we need to make contact with, and there'd be some businesses in Atkinson that would match up with what they're interested in. We attend various county supervisors meetings, Holt County planning and zoning meetings. We have a new person in our office that's been doing a lot of marketing and tourism efforts, so just in the last 4 months, he's done spotlights on Jujubee Coffee, Keto Memorial, which had 2.1 thousand views on it. Corkleding's Fitness had 1,000 views. The Atkinson Graphic one had 1.4 thousand views. Brand New Barn Heydays. He's created some infographics and some marketing materials for Atkinson to use specifically. I think they were sent to Shelley. I don't know if they were ever printed. Representative was done with those. Supporting childcare efforts across the county, mailboxes to seniors, and our hometown leadership program are just some of the things we've done with Atkinson.
Well, I think that's all well and fine, but I think if people want that stuff, then they'll be checking into, our own website and stuff, in my opinion.
How often is that updated? I mean, your meeting minutes hasn't been updated since August.
We also haven't had anybody in that position, Perry. That will happen here now, coming up.
Well, with our new hire, do we need to keep a connection or not?
Well, if you do it resign now, we've still got 6 months.
Okay.
And then 6 months without, and then they can go back if they want to.
Okay.
Will you take us back?
Sure. Prefer you just don't leave in the first place, that makes it a lot easier. We do have 3 other board members that are present here today too. I don't know if there'd be questions for the board. Jim's been our board chairman since 2007. Jim, have you always been the chairman? Bill's on the board and Amanda's also on the board as well.
You know, and just like thinking, you know, I'm Bill Tilkey, and just thinking, and Jerry Beans, you asked that, I was thinking for some reason of the fire department, the value of a fire department. Atkinson has a fire department, but when you need help, what is the value of all the surrounding towns? Now you can put yourself on an island and say we don't need any of these surrounding towns and fight a fire and put up the risk. And Holt County, I've been very blessed with the fact I live in Atkinson, my wife's from Stewart. My burial being Stewart, I'm elected out of part of O'Neill. I had business with the Sanderses through every community. We need everybody in Holt County. And if any one of you in here think that you can stand alone, you know, as they were saying, you can either hang alone or you can hang together. And I think there's strength in numbers. I know what you're talking about on it's $8,300. You know, I think there's some value. There's a lot of value to it. But being, you know, you're thinking of this, I'm thinking of the fire department, and I just listened the other night to your demo, your skill, and when you need somebody else, and you know, it's nice to have people to lean on, and that's about as close as it can be. You can either be a one person horse, or you can be a team. And Holt County needs a team. We're losing population every year, and every time somebody moves out of whether it's Atkinson or Holt County, it costs every one of us in the county tax dollars. And so instead of trying to figure out how to stand alone, we need to figure out how to come together as a community and as a county, and ask people to come to this county to help all of us out. So
My question tied in with what you're saying is, to drop out, what kind of message does that send to the rest of Holt County? Is that the kind of message we want to send as a town?
that's a question for these guys. That's not a question
Yeah.
for me.
No,
I think we need everybody.
No,
I need
I
every
was
person.
tying in with what you said.
The question to begin with on this whole deal, wasn't it, we hire our own, and other organizations, other towns don't? So why are we charged the same as the other communities?
I don't know, because I wasn't involved on that part, Jim. Maybe you could
That
explain.
was the question, I think, in the
The
beginning.
formula started out that you guys have taken, you take your formula times how many of the population.
I've got a copy of the interlocal.
E911 does. And my thing was is where we have our own ED, and why are we paying the same as the other towns that don't have a full-time?
Ultimately, it's your guys' choice to hire somebody, like the other communities adopted not to
We had
utilize
ours long
county
before the
services.
whole county.
So do they get more service from you than we do?
No, I wouldn't think so. I think it's pretty well split. You know, right now is a busy time in Stewart. We're working on a grant there in the community, so a lot of time's been spent in Stewart, but it hasn't always been that way. You know, it kind of ebbs and flows with what the needs are.
Okay, originally it wasn't at a 1/2-cent sales tax. The voters approved it was supposed to be for economic development.
That's a different, that would be, yeah.
That's LB 840.
Yeah.
That doesn't pay for the economic developers' salary?
Pays for a portion of it,
Okay,
not all of it.
and as the way I understood it, it was supposed to pay for their salary as an economic developer, not as an assistant to the city clerk.
$8,200, does that come out of the LB?
That is a good question, though. I don't know how that works, yeah.
Not all of it.
Do you know what the percentage is?
Can't think of
That's
it. I was
okay.
thinking it's like 60-40 or something like that.
So it's not really costing the city, city's budget, the 82.
I think it's 60% city.
Okay, so it's not actually the 82,000, or 8,200, I mean.
So you're saying 40% comes from LB
LB
40?
40, and I think 60% comes from the city.
Can that 40% be repurposed for other grants or business loans or?
Yep. It would go into business loans then. How many people have held that position as the economic development? How long has it been going? Like, has it been 10, 15 years? How many people average have had that position?
3 different people or 4?
Lori.
Well, it's what got the library going, I think, that's kinda when it got passed, so how long's the library been around?
It's been a while.
The new library? 'Cause those two bills were passed at the same time, weren't
If you do it for 20 years, that's, every 5 years you're getting a new employee.
they? I don't think it's been that much. But it was a 1/2 cent sales tax for the library, 1/2 cent sales tax for economic.
At least we got discussion on it.
Keep it or not? Or another 6 months, or?
Well, you have to decide tonight to terminate your membership with them, and then we put in the notice, and that would be, we still have 6 months with them. That makes the 6 months.
And then if you decide to stay, you can pay the rest of it.
Probably can pay the rest of it.
So as a business owner, do we lose the benefits of you guys if the city drops it?
It's a good question, I'll have to figure out what the right answer is with that. We haven't discussed it as a board yet.
So you can table it.
Well, there doesn't seem to be much interest in doing anything, so.
I think we, if possible, let's do the 6 months, see how our new economic development person performs and reevaluate it at 6 months.
So are you wanting to put in the,
We need a motion to terminate it. so.
need a motion to get out of HCED so that the letter can be sent off and then you'll have the 6 months from them. And then, yeah.
I don't know, that's very,
I think
that's,
Maybe we could renegotiate what they charge us. That's what started this whole thing.
I'm also gonna add, like, just refer it a little bit, but having someone come in and expecting in 6 months you see a change from them, like, you're saying, let's give it 6 months for Shy to be able to, like, that's not realistic for Shy to be able to do that in 6 months either, you know, that's a big shoe to fill, so I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't base your decision off of, like, a performance from someone for 6 months, you know what I mean?
I was just trying to figure out a way we could get our budget back in.
Well, if you drop it, then will you be paying Shy her whole wage if you,
She'll be getting paid her whole wage regardless.
but isn't half of it LBA 40 funded now?
like 40%.
So then in 6
You don't have
months.
to do anything, I was just.
She still gets paid her wage through LB 840 and the city no matter what. The HCED has nothing to do with where Shy's, but it does have an effect on the budget monies. Okay, so that's almost $9,000 we put back into the budget, you know, and this year, we've talked and talked and talked about this, and I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I don't really, I don't have an opinion one way or the other which way we go. But I see where the board is coming from. It is a tight year this year, and we're trying to just skim by.
So where does the LB 840 money go?
There's a business loan fund and a property improvement fund and then a portion of the paycheck for the economic development person.
Just
comes
a
out of that.
portion?
Yeah, a portion, yep. And I believe that's all set, like in the economic development plan that would've been passed at the same time as the sales tax was passed. So there's a plan that dictates how that money can be spent.
Okay.
So if Atkinson gets out of the Polk County Economic Development, does the city lose LD 840 grants then?
Cause she will still be able to go after that stuff.
LB 840 tax that was enacted in May of 2002 and then voted in is completely separate from the fee that is paid to the whole county economic development. So a portion, like she said, of the economic development position is paid 40% by LB 840, 60% by the city, as well as other items like whether it's paper that's used or supplies in the office. Am I missing other things, Shelley? I don't know how else to explain it.
Some of the benefits for that position,
Yeah.
yeah.
But as far as Hope County Economic Development paying for our current ED at all, there's no connection between the two, if that helps you guys understand.
How many grants have the Polk County helped Atkinson get in the last calendar year?
That's a good question. I don't know if we've applied for any in Atkinson, but there have been several that have popped up, but you guys haven't just fit the specs for them. So, like, there's been some housing dollars. I know you called, I think at one point, and asked about why O'Neill got the money and Atkinson didn't. You didn't have a housing study that was up to date. You have to pay for that ahead of time, have it done. You didn't have any money to meet the
And
match
why,
with.
if we were using you guys as a backup for ED, why wasn't our housing study done?
Yeah,
and
so
all
you,
that?
so you hire firms to do stuff like that. That's a bigger project than.
So was that recommended to us at that time, or you guys?
When I first got here, your housing study was already out of date, I believe, so, you know,
We
it's
started working
it's
together.
recommended to update it.
Yeah.
There's a grant that we could apply for right now to pay for a portion of your housing study, but, again, that's, you know, you're asking for 15 or 20,000 to do a housing study, so I don't think you guys have that in the budget for the
Was
sounds of
that
it.
offered to us? Was that a recommendation?
I brought it up to Nancy when she was still the city clerk. I'm not sure if Shelley was in that conversation or not, said that we needed to have our housing study updated. We were told that our budget was tight, and so it was not something that we wanted to have CNED help us with at that time.
Yep.
And so that was where it got dropped wrong. And that's why when the grant did come around, we were not ready.
Some of the grants as well too, like we're happy to help write, but we can't always be the applicant for it since we're through the Nebraska Community Foundation, so, our hands are a little bit tight on that. Like, we're helping Stewart right now write the housing grant, cause they've got their housing study pieces mostly put together, so we're able to work with them on trying to apply for the 4-to-1 match, you know, so. Not every situation is a good fit for the community, unfortunately.
So the answer is no, you guys didn't help us write a grant in the last fiscal year?
Not in the last fiscal year, no, not that comes to mind.
To move this on, or we got a 6-month grace period, I will make the motion to terminate it. We have 6 months to reevaluate it. And see what our new employee picks up in that period of time. Am I correct?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Helen? Yes. Jerry?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And Ron?
Yes.
Okay then. 12. Discuss approve Boyd Holt E911 fees for 2023, 2024.
I guess I probably need to update the council on this. A lot's kind of come up in the last week last couple weeks on Boyd Holt E911. A lot of the towns are, questioning, the amounts that they have been charged. They wanna know why, the increase in the funds. They have contacted some agencies that are, wanting to look into it maybe a little bit more. I don't know how else to say it. I mean,
Are we paid up to?
we're paid up to the end of the year. I guess right now, until I see, again, I'd like to see this week where some of the things that they've started doing are progressing. A lot of the people had meetings tonight, and I think we'll find out. I guess I need to know from the council if you are in support with staying with the communities in Boyd Holt E911, if they decide to push forward with questioning the board of E911, the reason for the increases, where the money is going, that type of thing. Stewart itself is being charged for 818 people. they don't have 818 people, it's based off of population. Every year they said they get charged wrong, it's supposed to be on your certified population, and they go off of Google Earth or Google Maps or something Google, and it's actually in our league books, we have certified populations in there that each one of us have. And they're using some other, but they will almost double charge now, Stuart, this year alone for their population. I think Mark told me their population is 484 and they're being charged for 818 people. That's a big difference for a little town like Stuart. Now Stuart, their fire department pays for half and the city pays for half. O'Neill, the city pays for it all. I think pretty much everybody else, the city pays for all of the E911 fees except for Stuart. But there is talk that they are wanting to send a letter to the E911 board, and it would be signed by all member communities, requesting financial statements from E911 as to how the money, where the money is going. I got a list of the expenses for the month of October, I think it was. And what did we see? It was like $39,000 in expenses, and 5,000 of them are spelled out, and 34,000 of it was like
So just miscellaneous or something.
miscellaneous. It was like unexplained or
Yeah.
something undefined expenses. It was like almost $35,000 in undefined expenses. Now, I wouldn't even think about doing that to the council. You guys would be like, where is $35,000 at? So, I mean, there's a lot of questions out there. I guess I'm gonna ask that you decide to stand up with the other towns, I guess.
I
if
think
you
we
wanna
should
fight
do with
this.
the other towns, yes,
Yeah.
but I think we should table this and use our last month here to see where everybody else is standing, and that,
That's fine with me. Like I said, a lot of those cities or those towns are meeting tonight. We'll know more where the other towns are standing. I think that nobody wants to get rid of E911. They just wanna know where the money's going, because there's
That's what
been,
we've been asking.
I think O'Neill was $179,000 alone.
Minutes, weren't they gonna do more tower improvements too? I thought that was all completed.
Yeah.
Seems like they really-
I haven't gotten minutes from them since, I think the last minutes I got from E911 were
it'd be nice
December.
to have more information what we're paying for.
Cause I don't think we can, as a city, if it does go up more, I don't know what we're gonna do.
I talked to Cora at Page, they get $29,000 in asking tax revenue every year. That's just their asking tax revenue from the county. And their portion of E911 fees is over $9,000. So they have roughly $20,000 to run their little village on in a year, which, yes, they are a little village, but still, how do you do it? You have employees, you can't even make your payroll with $20,000.
How come can't the state take it over? It's all over the state, 911, ain't it? All connected.
I heard that they can't apply for as many grants through E911 because it's being run as a
Nonprofit.
nonprofit or a not-for-profit company. If it was still underneath the county, they would be able to apply for a bunch of grants, is how it was explained to me. But since it's being run as like a nonprofit company, as a secondary company, they can't apply for all these different grants that are out there. I don't know, that's just how it was explained to me.
So we'll see after tonight what the other towns will.
You need a motion to table it?
Nope, just gonna table it and, table it to the next meeting.
Ready?
Okay.
Number 13.
No,
Oh,
oh yeah.
yeah. Discuss approve enforcement of all ordinances in the city of Atkinson, including sidewalk ordinance.
hope maybe we could give our police force a direction what we want them to do, because I think they're at a loss, the same as we are, what we want done. You know what I mean? Am I wrong? You know, it's kinda tough for them to know what to do if,
I think the nuisances need to be cleared up. You know, the messy yards, junk, cars.
I know, obviously you did some of that, Jim, cause I heard from a couple people that you talked to,
Oh, yeah, I have to.
you know. The sidewalk thing, we were gonna, I don't know when we can do this, but were we gonna take a look around and come up with a master list, or is this just something, I mean, how do we go about it, yeah?
like we said last month, to me, I'm afraid if we take the lid off and nitpick and throw this one out, but we're gonna enforce this one, can you legally pick and choose what ordinances you're gonna
No, I
enforce?
mean, they're already listed, the book in there, the ordinance book, it's listed out, I mean,
You know,
we have a list of ordinances and we're supposed to enforce it.
We've got one I talked to you two earlier today concerning sidewalks right over here
Oh, north of the.
on State Street, right on the corner there, that, it's in bad shape.
That's where we messed up last year, though, we should've did North Main, we should've done South Main and East and West State Street, cause there were
Is
sidewalks in there.
there grant money available for this?
I don't know.
As a city, you could use the housing money that we're getting in, you know, on the housing payments, but your crew has to do the labor. So if you guys can do the labor, then you can use the housing money for like the cement and all of the materials, but you cannot use it for the labor portion of it. So that is one option there as far as what we have within. But that money has to be used within the downtown business district. It can't be used, I think, Atkinson Fertilizer was just out what's considered the Atkinson Business District. So it has to be within down here.
Didn't that dude from Miller say something about the 1 in 6 year money could be something?
Your 1 in 6 year money goes a lot to their salaries or their wages. It goes to paying for Miller's being our highway superintendent, our street superintendent. There just is not anything extra there for that. The money that we get, when you sign that budget, all the money that we have coming in has been allocated out already to cement, you know, gravel, road, snow removal, wages, benefits.
Okay, whose sidewalk is that over there?
That'd be Jim Whitfeld's now, I think.
Yeah.
Well, this has been kind of let fall through the cracks for the last several years. Some did, some didn't. Does it make any sense to just back up, draw a line 5 years ago, and from that point on, if you tore a sidewalk out for new construction or reconstruction, you've got until August 1st of next year to put it back in. Just saying.
I have a question about the sidewalk ordinance. My property has never had a sidewalk. My house is 100 years old. It's never had a sidewalk. So does that mean I have to put one in?
No.
No.
According to the way the ordinance reads.
If you haven't torn it out,
There was never one there.
then you don't need to put it in.
Okay.
Then there's nothing to put in.
I think Chuck's idea is great, I just question the why we give them until August.
I'm getting kinda cold now.
Well,
Well, August we're about over with, I'd give it till about maybe April or May.
You were talking August
I'm
of
talking
next
August
year.
1st of next year.
He's talking August of next year, I'm saying.
I'm talking April.
That deadline should be ahead of that.
I think you're having people are having trouble with contractors. I don't know if that's what I've kind of heard, having trouble finding people.
Well, that's a
You know,
possibility.
you
I'm just
gotta
trying
give
to take
people,
plenty of leeway with it
yeah,
to get it.
That's true, that's true.
You have to think about that. I mean,
I can see that.
So if you're doing new construction on a lot that's never had a sidewalk, do you have to put a sidewalk in?
No, unless you removed an old one.
Not what, Chuck?
Unless you removed an old one.
Oh, okay.
No, what I'm saying is go back 5 years, and if there's been a building permit, new construction or reconstruction that removed the sidewalk that was previously there, you have until next year to get it put in. And, you know, we've gotta draw a line here because we've been off again, on again, off again, on again, and we just keep gaining nothing.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea. So go back 5 years, if the sidewalk was there and you tore it out, you guys stuck it back in, and you got till August of next year to have it done.
I think you still need to go through and give notice to anyone that.
Yeah.
And give notice.
I know that it's been brought up that, you know, that sidewalk goes nowhere, but you guys, we're neighborhoods. A sidewalk is no different than a street. It's a part of your infrastructure. Just because you live in this house today and you have no children and there's no children on your block, does not mean that in 5 or 10 years, there won't be children on that block that wanna ride their bicycles, that are safer for them to ride their bicycles there, you know, or get to Speedy Mark from an outside. Do you know how many kids walk from that school and fan out into these neighborhoods? Give the kids somewhere safe to walk.
So are you guys gonna watch building permits then, if they have to have the sidewalk or not have the sidewalk?
That will have to be enforced more strictly from this point on, and we've gotta go back and look at the building permits that have been issued, so.
I walk a lot, and I try to walk on sidewalks. But you walk 2 blocks, there's no sidewalks, so you go out in the street, and pretty soon you're going back up on the sidewalk. And at some point, you just say, there's no continuity, I might as well just walk in the street. So I don't understand, because a sidewalk was needed 70 years ago, why is it needed now? Or why not the,
Some of that depends on if I was living in the house on a busy street,
okay,
it would be, if I had children in the house,
Yeah.
it'd be more beneficial for me to have a sidewalk out there for them to play on rather than go out in the street and play.
I agree.
And like Shelley said, is that part of our infrastructure to have houses that have places for the kids to play in the front yard without being in the street? I mean,
But in some places, it's a busy street and there aren't sidewalks and never have been, so we ignore that. You know, JLP doesn't have sidewalks, the 4Js doesn't, down around the hospital doesn't.
Yeah, the whole Pearl Street is pretty much chopped up, and you know how many people you see on Pearl Street?
So is there some type of plan that helps move the city forward rather than just saying, it was there 70 years ago, 100 years ago, and we still need it today?
Well, on my street is the busiest street. I did put a sidewalk in.
But not going east and west.
North and south.
Yeah, but there's none going east-west.
But you only got about 2 blocks, or 2 blocks that don't have them, but I guess.
So as a walker, you go back out in the street.
And then you get back on the sidewalk that you think's a sidewalk, and it's all broke up and raised up, and you get ready to break an ankle.
What do you think about the handicaps? You know, them apartments there, that was a nice deal, what they did for Jim, you know, these guys with scooters. Yeah.
I went ahead and stopped at Rupert's and asked him about their sidewalk. He is a Vietnam War veteran. He was exposed to Agent Orange, radiation. He's in stage 4 cancer. He took out a loan for $8,000 as he's dying to put in that sidewalk. What kind of burden are you putting on some of these people? I'm for the infrastructure, but what kind of burden are you putting? We had a meeting about, raising the water bill. It was talked about what kind of a burden that would put on people on a fixed income. Basically on his deathbed, he took out an $8,000 loan.
If it snows this winter, he's gotta figure out how to scoop it.
What?
If it snows this winter, you gotta figure out how to scoop it now.
Yeah. That's what he's worrying about.
That and that like the highest end, that's maybe 6 months to pour all that concrete, saying that it doesn't rain a drop. I mean, that's,
So in 4Js, you have houses that are worth how many thousands of dollars that don't have to have sidewalks? And you have this guy, veteran, we have Veterans Day coming up, and we're gonna have this big production of how much we value our veterans. And on his dying day, due to Agent Orange, he's worried about that. And in 4Js, don't worry.
There is no good answer for any of it.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
Totally. And if we do, we're doomed anyway. If we don't, somebody else is gonna be after us.
But look at.
I understand
That's my
that.
question.
I understand there are a lot of people that can't afford it. Well, what are we supposed to do? We can't pay for it either.
Where, I think sort of what Candace has said was, where are sidewalks needed? Around the Catholic Church?
Well, that's another thing we need to look at.
Yes.
And I have a map, and I think if we started with a 4-block area around downtown, 16 blocks total, and look at those sidewalks and see how they are, and get those fixed up, then you can spread out from there.
Bingo.
And make sure the one to the high school is done. It needs to be good walking for those kids.
What happens if people can't afford it though?
Well, I don't know, that's the problem. But in 16 blocks would be what it would be. 2 blocks that way, 2 blocks that way, 2 blocks that way, each way.
And maybe if it was done in small enough segments, the city could find some money to at least help offset that cost.
Then maybe economic development could do that, once she gets trained and.
But I agree with you 100%, there's no easy answer.
No.
I cannot use LB 840 money for personal sidewalks out in residential areas.
Well, can she apply for other?
There might be other grants, there's safe routes to school, different things like that, but as far as LB 840
No.
money, it cannot
I don't,
be used for that.
I don't think either of us were talking LB.
Okay.
No. That's just my thought.
It's a plan.
Yeah.
It's
a
looking at
start.
where they actually need it.
Look at our ordinance then.
I'm gonna side with Jimmy on this one kinda, guys, because I'm getting the same thing in at the office. Everybody comes in and wants to know, so, can we do this, can we not do this? And every month we get a different answer, and we need some direction, because we don't know what to tell the people. Do I need to replace a sidewalk, do I not need to replace a sidewalk? What kind of fence can I put in, what kind of fence can I not put in? You know, I have 2 vehicles in my yard, is that okay? I don't know, because we don't know where you guys stand on it as a council. We need some direction in the office, because,
Well, if it matters where they stand or not, if it's in the ordinance, there it is.
But the ordinance also says you don't have to put cement sidewalks in. You can use bricks or paving stones as long as it's a sidewalk. You don't have to put cement in.
Oh, for sidewalks?
Yes, sir.
Well, then we need to bring that up at our next meeting and look at that ordinance and revamp it.
I mean, that's the thing, if you're gonna follow all the ordinances, great, fine, and dandy, because those are the rules of our town and the laws of our town. But we can't go and pick, because then we hear in the office, well, so-and-so didn't have to do it, so I'm not gonna do it.
Do you need to
Well, when
look
is
and,
he gonna do it?
do you need to look and see if the ordinance is still relevant?
What's relevant to one may not be relevant to the neighbor. We've got people not buying building permits because there's unlicensed vehicle in their neighbor's yard. So that's an ordinance. If you're not gonna enforce that ordinance, then I'm not buying building permits because that's an ordinance. Or I'm not licensing my golf cart or my side by sides because you didn't enforce this other ordinance. That's the question I had is if the ordinance is on the books, what do we tell our cops to do? That's where the troubles come.
Oh, I agree there's a problem.
You start messing with it, then the lid's off, what do you do then? I mean, do you say it's on the ordinance, so you enforce every ordinance the way it's written? And then as people come in and want it changed, look at them then? I mean, I don't know.
How many years has it been since ordinances have been looked at?
I don't know if they ever have been. That's why I've said in the past, maybe this sidewalk ordinance was made when we had dirt streets. And
I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
I
Some
remember
of
you
them are
saying
dated
that.
when they,
What?
some of them, the ordinance are dated when they first
Okay.
came out. And then if they didn't
But I do
revise-
remember Ron saying that.
I don't know. I'm tired of bringing it up every month and then I don't think they have a direction of what we want them to do. And do I want them going around hammering every taxpayer? No, that's not. We gotta work with people, but we gotta take this thing away that I'm not doing it because they didn't do it. Or I'm not doing it because you didn't enforce him to do it. We've gotta stop this. We've gotta have some.
So just a general question, how did you decide where to put your sidewalk? Like, how'd you do your north and south instead of the
It
east and
was
west?
there when I bought the place and the tree
Oh, so you
stump,
just-
humped it up and
So then you just
I had
reversed
it
it.
tore out because it was unsafe and we put it back in.
So then how did Scott, how do you decide to put it north and south and not east and west?
Well, see, my,
Cause before you lived there, was there a sidewalk? So I didn't think there
yeah,
was.
there was,
There was?
40 years ago when I bought it from my uncle. And I took that out because they had them big old cottonwoods. That's why Mary Ellen, she lived right beside my grandma.
Yeah.
She took hers out and they was gonna, about 10, 15 years ago, I don't know who was on the council, but they was gonna get on all of our, both his butts and make us put them back in. That was 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Cause I didn't remember having
Yeah, I
sidewalk
mean-
right there either.
No, but I got approached there for a handicap where you don't have to step over.
Yeah.
Dan put that in about 20 years ago, and I haven't, and then when whoever, they bought that McKay house, and then they put a little short one in between me and the McKay house. So that forced me to put one going north and south from my driveway to the street.
Cause I
The
remember
people
like
that owns it now, or did have it, they was getting on my butt. So I got tired of it and I said, and them guys that put that sidewalk in for Rupert, I told them to come over and do mine. Then Daryl Smith done his.
I saw that one, yeah.
Then Leo, he put them poaches on them handicap for Jim Keller there to drive
Cause like
on.
on Dostals, they only had Dostals and then.
Yeah,
was
the
just house.
the Dostals is cut, they got a street there, I mean a sidewalk, but it's grassed over part of it.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Yeah.
Not
What do
yet.
you want, Barry?
Can I, suggest maybe if you could get a couple councilmen and maybe me and the chief and kick this around and come back to you with maybe a recommendation.
Okay. Jim?
Just one comment. I was up at Ron's shop and I can't remember the gentleman's name that was up there, but he was a concrete contractor and he said there's one town that they put all the sidewalks in, and then the cost was assessed to each property's owner's valuation of their, and that's how they, I don't know all the details, but that's the way that town did it.
I think your big issue right now is going back and, if I'm reading you right, Ron, it's not so much, yes, we need to tackle the sidewalks that are broken up, but I think you're wanting to go back on these, if I'm understanding you correctly. You wanna pick a date that you're gonna go back to and say, okay, you took your sidewalk out to do repair or construction, we want you to put it back in. Or, you know, and then I think the end goal is to do like Helen said and do the 4x4 block radius. I mean, if there was a sidewalk there before, if I'm understanding you right, you correct me.
No.
That I think is the question, and then.
Yeah, well, if you take it out of new construction, the building permit, you check that box.
Yeah.
Now, our guys need to do a better job making certain that that is understood and checked. But, yeah.
Going forward,
Chuck
so
was
you
saying-
can't enforce it going forward if you're not going to enforce it backward. I mean, you see, you're already getting people coming to the office saying, I'm not gonna do it if you're not gonna make this one do it. That's where we're coming into trouble.
That's what I've been saying the whole time, not just on the sidewalks, I'm saying that on all our
Everything.
ordinances, there's so many of them.
How are you gonna enforce that though? You had, say, Canvases, for example, their building permit was approved and that wasn't even, the sidewalk wasn't put back in. The city approved it, but now you're making them.
Cause they were supposed to have been told by Gary, he's told us that he's told us that, but he's talking.
I'm just saying, I can see where this is gonna go.
I don't know.
If it wasn't on
You just
there
gotta tighten up the bootstraps.
and it was approved, and
Tangent here, I was present at the 1/6 street meeting. Are the city planning to pave going up to the school and North Carberry in the next 6 years, or?
Well, that's number one on the deal, I think, we're
That's
trying to
on
look
the
at
list.
the drainage and trying to get all that, so we can get the drainage, the water and lines, all that.
So
stuff.
sometime in the next years, but you don't know
Well,
exactly when?
That's the hope, if the money's available, if the grants are available.
Okay, I thought Chris said there was like $200,000 a year, or something like that available. No.
I don't know.
Okay.
You say, where's that at? We'll take it.
Okay, I think it's there, but it gets used for,
I just,
For
tonight,
maintenance.
all I'm asking
Okay.
is what direction do we give our police force to, do we have them enforce the ordinances? That's what I'm asking, and then we'll, I don't know.
Well, your alternative is not to enforce any.
Well, that's what it's been for the last 20
And-
years.
That makes no sense to me, then everybody's gonna do whatever the heck they feel like doing. And that's not right either. I don't think anybody would agree with that.
But
Or
there's an
disagree, I
obstacle
mean.
courses putting in a sidewalk. We make people, there's trees that gotta be taken out. And there's fences. I mean, like you say, we're opening up a can of worms.
So the way I look at it is we have the ordinance on the books, all ordinances are on the books, if they're on the books, that's the city laws, it's been the city laws, they need to be enforced. And if anybody wants anything changed, they can come in and discuss her ordinance change and just go from there, whatever, and then we'll try to straighten out as we can. Is that wrong, right? You guys
Jim,
agree?
we'll have to revisit some of that wording in the.
So, Jimmy, does that help you? Sure.
Okay. So should we, next council meeting, put it on our agenda to start with sidewalk, look at have it in front of us, read through it?
Absolutely.
And, like you said, if there's, somebody says, well, I'm gonna put stone in, then, if it's worded in there, we gotta change that, don't we?
I'll add, I guess, I don't know about building materials, and I think I said this last meeting, there's nothing in there now that requires, necessarily automatically, if you take it out, you have to replace it, or if it's in bad shape, you have to repair it. It's all as deemed by the council.
Okay.
And the council can say, frankly, if you don't have one, that you should, then they can order that you or vote
Okay.
that you put one in. So it's all, you know, it's not drafted as such that you know, automatically have to. I think the point is, it was part of what maybe certain folks in the past had agreed to as a condition of a building permit, and that was not followed through on. But the ordinance doesn't read that, you know, if you tear it out, you have to put it back. That's just always been a condition of the building permit, which is, as I understand it, been more of the issue that they agreed to do something and didn't. So I don't know that there's an issue with it as it's written, because it's, you know, it's all at the prerogative of the council and the street commissioner, as to whether there needs to be new sidewalks constructed. If so, whether a certain section or piece of sidewalk needs to be repaired, or whether a certain section needs to be reconstructed or replaced, so.
Clear as mud.
Okay, so next meeting, we'll start with sidewalks. Okay, number 14. Approve ordinance 1188 to establish wages and salaries for city officials and employees.
I think I had that resolution in your packet, if I remember right.
So the ordinance is with minimum wage going up and wages going up with it, we have to actually set our wage limits. I tried to give us enough leeway when we would hopefully not have to do this again for a couple of years, but we have to have those boundaries that say this is what we can pay for, the city councilman's pay. This is what we can pay for the mayor. This is what we can pay for the city clerk. This is what we can pay for the ED director. And it's just a range in there. It's not necessarily what they're going to make. It is the range that you've given it. That's the ordinance, and we needed to adjust that for several of the different departments just because our minimum wage has went up and has changed how we are paying people.
I make the motion to approve that ordinance.
I need you to waive the 3 readings.
I waive the 3 readings. Make a motion to waive the 3 readings.
Motion to waive 3 readings. I gotta pull that ordinance out. Josh, do you have it handy that you can read it, or read just the ordinance portion of
I
it?
had it here, so. Oh, it's right here.
1188.
An ordinance of the city of Atkinson, Nebraska, establishing wages and salaries for city officials and employees, repealing all ordinance in conflict, and providing the time when the ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and ordering the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form. Be it ordained by the mayor and city council of the city of Atkinson, Nebraska, that second. No.
Yeah, you don't need to read the whole thing, I just needed that top part read, please. And then Jerry, you make the motion
make
to
the
waive
motion.
the 3 readings.
Yep.
And then I need a second for that. Chuck? And then
Roll call.
Jerry made the motion. So Jerry,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Ron,
Yep.
and Helen.
Yes.
Okay, so now you can read it again, Josh, and then ask for a motion and a second to
Okay.
approve it.
An ordinance of the city of Atkinson, Nebraska, establishing wages and salaries for the city officials and employees, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing the time when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect, and ordering the publication of this ordinance in pamphlet form.
There. And then I just need a motion and a second again.
I'll make the motion.
Second, something.
You just need a second.
Second?
Jerry?
Roll call.
Scott,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yep.
Ron,
Yes.
Helen,
Yes.
and Jerry.
Yes.
Okay, 15. Approve resolution 23-12 to set salaries and wages for appointed officers and employees for the fiscal year beginning in October of 2023.
So these would be the actual wages for the next year.
Which they're in your background.
No, cause we,
He was after it.
he was after.
So Sean,
Shine.
she's on it.
Is she on there?
Yeah,
Then I gotta
she's
put
on.
Corby on there. Okay, so I will, add Corby, so when you make the motion to add Corby. That's my error.
Whatever his rate is, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
I make motion to approve them and Corby to the
15. Chapman, motion to approve.
I'll second that.
And Jerry. Hold on just a second, guys. And that is with the addition of Corby Krieger.
With the addition.
What's the wage that should probably go?
At $20 an hour.
And position.
Utilities department. Okay, I'll make that change and have you come sign that tomorrow.
Okay.
Losing my mind, Chuck,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Helen,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
and Scott.
Yes.
Okay, 16. Discuss snow removal in downtown area.
Just food for thought, I visited with John Bull, asked him, like, we had a pretty big snow here. We're kinda short dump trucks at the time, and dump trucks are very expensive. John said at the rate of $300 per hour, he would come in and do it. And have 2 side dumpers and then his big payloader. I think his payloader fills one of the side dumpers with about two dumps.
And that $300, that's for
$300.
all the equipment and the men, correct?
Equipment and manpower, yes.
That was that after?
That's where,
That's after it's windrow, or city crew would have to windrow it to the center of the street. And I guess what I was looking at, or just what I talked to John about, was 2 blocks each direction of the main square. And then our crew would do the rest of the city. But we were running into trouble last year, a couple big snows, we couldn't get out of here quick enough, we had to hire other people to do it. I just thought I'd visit with John, he's got the equipment.
and that 300, what does that cover?
So, 2 trucks and a payloader.
So it's 2 trucks and a payloader.
Yes.
And the manpower.
And the people.
And the manpower, and that's, he said just estimating a 5 to 6 inch snow the way it blows into town. He said he would have it out of here in 5 to 6 hours. That's just food for thought. I don't think it needs to be voted on, does it? I mean,
Gary, I mean, is that something you could, if you say, call in John for this snow, or how do we wanna,
Is that something the city should take bids on?
what's that?
Is that something the city should take bids on?
We don't have to, it's under and I talked to Osborne's already, cause we had talked about this, and Osborne said they really don't prep their trucks for winter, so that's something that they probably wouldn't be interested in, and it's under the dollar amount threshold for bids. I think it's 30,000 or 40,000 bids.
I think it's 30,
Yeah.
So there's gonna be a snow amount over such before you come in, or that
this is something that you and him have to talk about, I mean, he's just saying he's available for that, if we want him to do that. And it would be in your discretion to say, we're gonna have to have John for this one, and go from there. Is that right?
I think if he just talks about it with the street,
Yeah.
like Ron,
Jim?
So would John's crew fall under the city's liability in case they crunch a car? Or-
Well, it'd be like last year, did Trista do it last?
Trista did it
Yeah.
last year.
She had 2
You got
trucks.
approved life, you got
Yeah.
insurance.
He'll have to just have a certificate of insurance to us.
That, yeah, cause she's not doing it this year.
Just wanted to make clear that it was his insurance, not the city's insurance.
It'd be like how Trista did it hers.
That's a good question. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so you're gonna talk to Ron?
Yep.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, now, it's approved the delinquent utilities report.
They were pretty proud of those numbers this time around.
Look good.
I don't think I brought my sticky note in. She said that's the lowest it's been in years.
Yeah.
It's in the motion.
Need a motion in a second.
Make a motion to approve it.
Ron? Second? Chuck? Okay.
Roll call.
Ron?
Yes.
Helen? Yes. Jerry?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Okay, 18, approve claims as prepared.
There's more on this report this month, guys, because we had that early meeting last month. I think it was on the 2nd, so you had more bills fall into this next month because they didn't come in time for October meeting.
I didn't see anything other than that. We got the 911 deal and then the Cook County deal, and there's only 2 there. So, make a motion, we pay him.
I'll second it. Roll call.
Helen?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And Ron?
Yes.
Okay, 19, monthly reports from the department supervisors. Library, ED, water, sewer, streets, parks, Woodlawn Cemetery, community center, fire, civil defense, police.
I have,
Go ahead.
oh, community center. You have check with Cheryl in the morning, there's quite a few broken tables that need, repair. And they've got a bunch of them out yet, because they're gonna have set up for Veterans Day program Wednesday. The kids are gonna go in Wednesday night, I think, or something, so can you and your guys maybe take a look at some of those, but get the list from Cheryl, they got them reported today.
The sewer plant passed, tell them about that, Gary. That paper, something about, remember?
Yeah, we had our
No
inspection,
flaws.
and,
Yeah.
they was pleased with everything, there was no, deficiencies.
That's really good having them not finding anything wrong down there.
Yeah,
So
that's
that-
good.
Yeah, that was really good. I told Scott, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice feeling for me. Always a rough year, and they figured it out.
Yeah, we gotta, discuss something like this, like that sewer deal and all that. Got that taken care of.
So other than that, I don't have nothing on that.
Shy will start next Monday. And I'll get a hold of IT today and get, or tomorrow, get her passwords and stuff set up so that she's ready to go. We need to post vacancy for Riley's position on the council. I don't know, I might need either Michael's help or I might have to call the league on that just because I'm not real sure how to word that.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Gary, on the streets down by straight east of the Methodist church, on the Hump Hall house there, Humphrey House, Hump Hall, whatever it was. Straight east of the church, straight north of the parsonage, there's like a manhole over a storm sewer maybe, and cement's cracked. I don't know how stable that cover is.
I'm gonna get with you first thing in the morning and talk to you
Kids,
about it.
kids get on it, you know,
Yeah, and I'll, you can tell me,
Squeeze your turn.
Yep.
maybe we can fly by it.
Okay,
Honestly,
sounds good.
and see it.
And can you, afford to buy Jimmy a hole puncher?
Oh God, I'm gonna do one in that office.
We're lucky we got that today, trust me.
He spends too much the way it is. He's cut off.
All the water meters all in?
The meters are in, the remotes, we're still waiting on some more.
Okay then, number 20. Adjourn, need a motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Is that Scott?
Yep.
Okay. Second? Ellen?
Roll call.
Jerry?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
And Helen? Yes.